broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Well, good afternoon, all of you Days of Our Lives fans. Welcome to AfterBuzz TV's Dishin Days. I am your host, Tony Moore, and I am joined by some very, very special guests. We'll start to my far, 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 far left, the lover and only follower of Billy Flynn.
I don't think I'm the only follower. Mark J. Freeman here.
And, of course, we have a very special guest, the very dashing and evil, yet very smart.
It's like the lighting director said to me, I said, how come the lighting's so bad on me? And he said, that's because I have this idea that you need to be shadowed. And I said, you know what? With the dialogue I have and the actions I portray, I said, I don't need anything worse. I don't need bad lighting. I need the fans to see my face.
Well, luckily we have excellent lighting in here so that everyone can see your face. We have, better known as Andre DiMera, currently,
possibly, maybe Tony too.
Yes,
the DiMeras like to play multiple roles.
Wow. This is true. I don't know. Has anybody died as much as I have?
No. I mean, I don't know if you add up all of Eileen Davidson's characters, how many times have they all died?
This is true. But I think you're still in the top.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, we have Thaao Penghlis and here joining us.
Or good evening or good morning.
Good morning.
That's right.
You are, you're listening.
We have some people in Holland watching.
Yes, some people in France watching.
In France. We have them all over the world. Australia.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Don't look so surprised.
Well,
it's my hair.
I did know. It's saying hello.
And of course, we have my chocolate twin here,
James Lott Jr.
And
white chocolate over here.
You keep...
White chocolate, dark chocolate.
Okay.
Well, I'm sort of a mixture of both.
Okay.
You're like caramel. Caramel.
You're the caramel between the light and dark chocolate. I like that.
Totally.
If you guys can't tell already, we are in for a very fun show. But first off, we want to thank you guys for tuning in live. And if you haven't already, make sure you follow us and like us on Facebook and Twitter at Dishin Days. And later on today, we will also be letting you know who are the winners of our hashtag Prize Unlocked prizes on Instagram and Facebook. So we will give away those details later.
This is when we talk over Tony, so he can't use it for his reel.
Happens all the time.
Oh my God. So you've spent too much time.
So now you see why before the show I give him so much gripe, because during the show, I get it. So
okay,
it's like
I'm not going to say anything for 10 minutes.
And how much time will that be in your world? An hour.
Okay, I'm watching. Okay, starting at 4:09:25. Okay, I'm not saying anything for 10 minutes. Unless you talk about Billy.
Oh my God.
But wait, notice how he said, I'm not saying anything for 10 minutes, and then started talking right after that, right? So it's over. It's over already.
It's like when my acting teacher told me to sit on my hands. I was like, what do you mean sit on my hands? I can't emote if I don't have my hands.
Anyway, you have a guest here.
I'm sorry.
So with that in mind, let's go ahead and start with our guest. Let's go ahead and start
Dishin Days. And now you can flip the hourglass.
Oh, then I turn that upside down. This is profound.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we set it and forget it.
Yeah.
All right.
And it will run out.
Yeah.
And we'll keep going.
Yeah, we usually don't pay attention to it anymore.
We like to be daring.
All right, so let's kick things off with our guest storyline. There's a lot happening in Salem following Stefano's death, and the discovery of Stefano's body by Andre. For you, Thaao, like, how was it filming those scenes? Because it's very interesting now with all, and we've mentioned this before, all the different scenes and sets that they're now doing and adding to the show. But with this storyline, like, how has it been for you, and especially with the death of Stefano?
It's not easy, especially since Joe and I started together. He came, I was the first to marry, so he came 6 months after me. All these years, sometimes without him, sometimes with him, but we always crossed paths. We came from the same workshop. To see where Joe's state was when I came on the show was not easy.
Yeah.
So I started to see how do you bring. Sorry,
That's okay.
That's one of my personality traits.
Now it's a party. Now it's a party. You got it.
I leave stains everywhere. Anyway, so it was an interesting dynamic to be opposite somebody who was playing my father, who had a terrible experience where his walking situation became difficult. It wasn't the same dynamic anymore. So as he slowly started to become less and less on the show, I missed those scenes that we used to have because they just weren't there.
Yeah.
But the most difficult was seeing him shot.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
That was it was so real, and I think it became less drastic because Hope did it. Because when you have a character like Christian Alfonso, and because she's so loved, it was kind of and because of Joe, the contrast was amazing to watch. When I found his body buried like that, that was the hardest moment.
Yeah.
When I saw the finger with the ring, and I said to the producer, "Oh, do I take the ring? Do I continue?"
I like that idea.
I do too. Yeah.
So anyway, it just became difficult, and some things have taken place since then, but which I can't say. But he was such an iconic character, and so you don't meet that many men who are that powerful. I find. And with the gravitas in the voice and the personality, he was a great player to work with. So there were boundaries between us, whereas with working with Billy and just meeting Billy when I came in, the boundaries were not there. They were like, he came from a whole different workshop. So that had to be an adjustment. But I found it interesting because he brought his personality and his goods, and in contrast to what I had to. And now suddenly Daddy wasn't there anymore. And so suddenly I would sit in the chair differently. I kind of thought of Michael in Godfather. How when he arrived and how it all changed. It's almost as if you shifted and became centered, and that's the stillness that comes with the character. I have a great relationship with Billy most of the time. But you can't, it's a volatile, they're two volatile characters. You've got to have contrast. So we don't try and save the moment every time we see each other. But, Christian, as bad as it is in the story, you couldn't get any two actors closer than she and I.
That's good to know. Okay.
So, it makes it more convincing when you see us having that rivalry.
Well, I say we're doing the show when you came back on with you and Billy. We were saying just the dynamic that you're talking about between the two of you. So
it's great.
Like, we've deemed you guys Chandre. We've paired you up and called it, they call you Chandre in the chat room and stuff now, because we just love, you're like a super
pairing.
couple
You
together.
have
like
chemistry.
The chemistry, you can just see the rivalry and the different generations and the fight for how they want to take the family. You know? And I think that Andre's a great continuation of
definitely
Stefano, because I sensed that that's probably what was going to happen, that they were going to get rid of Stefano, and then when I heard Andre was coming back, I was like,
not Tony, right?
I think I know what they're up to. So
well, also having gone back that far, 1981 I think, coming from the Cassadines of GH to creating a new, because the same writer was Pat Fulton Smith.
Yes.
So that became a continuation of the DiMeras from the Cassadines, really. But so that when I came back this time and took the throne, in a sense, there's it's interesting to watch Billy or Chad, because I can see that he fights that. Because he wants to be in charge. This is interesting. It's not, sometimes the personal stuff creeps into the work, but that's what makes the characters interesting. You have to personalize in some areas. And so, that's why when he started mimicking me,
it's
not
funny.
appreciated.
But it's hilarious. It's funny.
It's funny. He does have a dry sense of humor. When he did that, and then he put his hand on his hip, and I went, I did it a lot better than that.
Would you be opposed to EJ coming back and having a third?
Not at all. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay.
I can tell you that now.
Okay. Okay. You heard it here first.
You can tell you that now.
We like breaking news.
Breaking news.
Put that underneath. Breaking news.
Well, I find it interesting, like you were saying, how Chad fights, being like a DiMera, and how Andre is like all about keeping the legacy and what the DiMeras stand for.
La Familia.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see that dynamic. And even still now, I think we notice that Chad does have a care for what's happened to Stefano, not as much as Andre, because Andre has been on it, like, trying to figure out, did he actually leave on the jet, and where is he, and all that, and then the discovery of the body. But we saw Chad kind of fighting that, and like, you can sense that he kind of cares, but he doesn't want to.
Is there a question?
Oh my God. A little bit.
Can you come every week?
Oh my God,
Can you come every week?
You learn after a while. I have brother-in-laws who keep talking, and you're thinking to your mind, where's the
it was just more of a statement than a
You were
question.
telling me what I already knew.
Oh, well, I was sharing with the world the ice cream on top of the cookie.
There was a period there where there was a fight between the two brothers with the Stefano's attention. There was a little bit of that rivalry. One of the things when they asked me to play Andre, and I went, oh my God, he was written by James Riley, and there's a lot of big pictures to the character in those days. So I thought, as an actor, how do you come back as a villain, and where is your heart? As opposed to just being dark and shadowy. And Joe was my heart. So when I came on back on the show, I noticed that Joe was being difficult because of his state, and I would reach over to him, and I would touch his hand, and I'd say, "Oh, Joe, remember how great we were? Remember those days when, wasn't that fantastic?" And suddenly, I found the way in. You have to find a way in. So I found the way in to his heart by remembering what was good, what was great, what made him happy, what gave him the father figure, and those scenes that he and I used to have that were so wonderful. And from that moment, there was no friction. And I remember someone saying, "Oh, I love the way you're treating Joe in the scenes." And I went, that comes from training in real life. That's where your father, for the Greeks, where you kiss your father's hand in name days. So that's why I would kiss Joe on the head or his hand, because that was part of showing the audience there were boundaries and respect. When you smash those, that's where you have chaos. And that's what's going through with the DiMera household. There's chaos.
There's a lot of chaos going on, and it was a very powerful scene when, like, you did discover the body, and like the reaction that you had. It was just kind of like, ooh, like you can still sense that connection that you guys have.
It was a short sequence.
It was very short.
I would have liked to have had more time, but then it was his grave.
It was.
And the disgust of it, and the way he was, because the audience hated to see someone like Stefano being buried that way or treated that way. But that's what made them more shocking. And that's what made my vengeance all the more determined. And so that when people ask me, can we go into that question? People ask me, with all the, can we ask you something? With all the bloodiness and everything, how did you get out of that building and how did you get out?
Exactly. Like I was gonna say, hello.
And I said, I called a cab. The tunnels are a very short distance.
I was just going to say, I
tunnels.
love that they have the tunnels now.
Yes.
Reminds me of Santa Barbara. Don't even get me started.
Like Santa Barbara.
But I love that they have the tunnels. I love that they talk. Like, I just think that's so cool. Like, I'm like, I wish they all this time would have talked about, I don't know, I just think there's, because they're always sneaking around and stuff. I don't know. I just really like it.
I just think it's also, we've been going through tunnels because you've got it in Israel and Palestine. You have it with the drug cartel. I mean, tunnels are a big play.
Right.
Yeah, but look at the people who broke out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, tunnels are a big picture right now.
Yeah. I'm curious, though, the one thing that happened this week with was when Chad and Abigail were talking about buying the DiMera house, which I think is where it's going to go. But I just keep thinking, where's Andre going to live? That was the first thing I think. I was like, well, they're probably going to kick him out, but where's he going to go?
Well, I don't know. I was like Abigail. I was like, I wouldn't want to live here.
Yeah.
But he's going to repaint it.
You've only seen one room. That's what.
That's right. Exactly.
Some of us have experience in one room of late. And it's also the color of my skin.
Yeah.
Doesn't flow well. That tone. And I go, can I have some
Maybe
light?
it'll get zhuzhed up.
No, I'd say, can I have some lighting before I die? That type of thing. But in that room, it was, it's very difficult to move around sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's all to do with budgets.
Yeah.
There's we have to. There's a lot of people who work to put this show together.
Mm-hmm.
Most fantastic crew. The actors are wonderful. The writers are wonderful. But putting all those people together, it costs a lot of money under the budgets that we have these days.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they've done a great job. I just want to go. That's why when it's not there, I love going on a set where there's light.
Right.
Right. Well, when you're older, or when you're getting older, you pray for any little miracle that can come along.
But I like that they're using those like outdoorsy type, and the with the high school using the lockers and the hallways and stuff at NBC or Burbank Studios now, right?
Yeah, Burbank Studios.
I just think it's cool. It's nice to see. It reminded me of old days of our lives.
Yeah.
When they would go outside and do film stuff outside.
Right,
and
with Salem Place and all that.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
I used to go there during the day when you guys weren't shooting.
Were you? How come we didn't see it?
I know it was there. I couldn't get in if you guys were there. They'd be like, shoot that homo. Get him on here.
So this week we are sensing obviously that Andre is definitely preparing for revenge on Hope, as he has discovered that Hope and Rafe had something to do with the death of Stefano. And
he broke into Hope's house.
Yes.
And Sean Douglas walks in. I was like, oh, there's Sean Douglas.
I thought the lighting was very good. You could hardly see me.
It was very dark there, too.
We're going to start a new campaign. We're going to start a new hashtag. Get Andre Light.
Yes. Hashtag
Get Andre
Get a
Light.
flashlight.
But it was dark there, too.
Well, for 2 seconds.
You should have a follow. That should be Andre's thing now. Everywhere he goes, he has a follow spot. Bring in the TBD, Club TBD. There's someone else. I'll work it. I'll come in and I'll just follow you around with a follow spot. Be like,
well, unfortunately, until Billy Flynn shows up, then the spotlight.
I would never do that.
Billy doesn't need lighting.
No, he doesn't. I agree.
Shut up. Do you believe that he agreed so quickly?
He's like, I agree. Of course.
As we say in Australia, piss off.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Well, for 2 seconds when Andre was in the house, I thought he was going to shoot Sean.
Yeah.
Because he had the gun and it was almost like he was ready. And then he got a text.
Right. Timing.
Yeah. Perfect timing.
And you went off on him too.
I'll say this: if I'm about to get killed, I hope I get a text too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like when I smelt the gun to know.
Yeah.
That little detail.
Yeah.
Was it shot recently?
Yeah. I noticed that too, in the counting of the bullets and all of that.
There was one point there I could hardly see it because I didn't have my glasses on. My producer says, "Oh, take your glasses off, Ted. I want to see your eyes." And you're expressing these things, so I can't see what things. So I pretend I can see. So I get my touch, and so I'm touching the thing, and I'm trying to put the bullet. And I just put it right back in my pocket and pretend I've done it.
How funny.
That explains that, because I noticed that like it kind of went in, but it didn't go all the way in. You were just almost kind of like, blah, whatever. And then you just kind of
when you got the gun out of the closet.
I couldn't see. That was the simple truth.
Someone just wrote hashtag Days pay your light bill.
That'd be funny. Honestly, it's all dark. So now you came back, and now you're in a front burner storyline. So how do you keep it fresh? We were asking that. How do you keep it fresh for yourself? Coming back to Andre.
Hello.
Hi.
You know what it is? Some people, when you say to them, where'd you go for your holidays? They'll say to you, I was building the barn, or I painted the wall or something. I always used to say, well, I just got back from Egypt, or I got back. So I found that taking in other cultures was a great way to educate myself and expand my vision.
Right.
Okay. So when I came back, I was feeling great because I just had a great experience. So I was full.
Yeah.
So I just got back from Cuba.
Oh, okay, there you go.
So that was because my second book, the idea was seeded there. So when I came back, I was ready for the next stage of the writing. So to me, it's that's the way I keep it alive.
Very good.
Or I cook for people. That always tests my juices. Or I go and see a great play, or I go see something that will stimulate, or a museum exhibit. Alan Rickman said it. You show your actors. If you want to be an actor, go and study other cultures. Go and look at the politics and listen to them and have an argument. All these things are a part of what brings you eventually on a platform that you may be called on to give an opinion on a particular aspect of life, and that's what you do. So how does your imagination? Because as an actor on a soap, you have to have an imagination.
Yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the writers get bored with you. If you just give them the page, then they get bored. Because then they say, well, he hasn't showed us anything. That's the seed they plant, and you have to take it somewhere. How do you feel when you're broke? How do you feel that Alison Sweeney took all your money? Well,
Right.
that was a bitch. I couldn't get used to that. I mean, that was hard. I said, the first thing I thought, what about my clothes? Do I still keep those?
Well, I like the lines that they're having. Where like last week the
henchman.
I think Andre said something like, "I pay you to do this," and he was like, "Well, quite frankly, so you haven't paid us in a few weeks."
I don't want to talk
about that right now. I love that they do that. That's great.
It's very realistic. It's very realistic.
Oh yeah, he likes to ridicule. Even the sure.
Yeah.
And you have to make it tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
And when the doctor looked at my face the other day, I said, "What's the matter? You don't like my face?"
Oh, I love that. I love that.
So I test people that way.
Yeah.
It's like the Phantom of the Opera.
Last week we mentioned this before we went on air, but we had Felice Sampler here, who was Renee.
Felice.
Would you be opposed to a return of Renee?
No, not at all. But I don't know what I would do with her because I never knew her as Andre.
Right, he only knew her as Tony.
That's
Tony.
true.
You're Tony.
Look at that.
Touche.
I do listen,
Oh.
I know. I think that's what. No, I wasn't watching Santa Barbara then.
Don't say, but him and Renee would actually be brother and sister.
That's true.
Because Andre has been revealed off camera somehow that you are the offspring of Stefano.
Yeah.
The true offspring of Stefano.
Yes, yeah. So, but we're all bastards, really.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So he spread his seed everywhere.
I think.
You like that, don't you?
He said it. He said it.
You like that.
See, it wasn't trouble over here saying it. I'll have some more wine. Thank you very much.
I'll deal with you later.
Yeah, you deal with me later. Yes.
But as a whole, I think it's an interest. The show's never been in this direction before. There's always been a Stefano somewhere. Even.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So now, and Billy was never there, and he's kind of a youngster. It's kind of interesting it's almost like bringing somebody who's got a typewriter as opposed to somebody who's got a computer.
Ooh, good analogy, yes.
So there is an ad that just came out where two sons are sitting at the table with their father and they're texting while the father's trying to eat, and he says, "Pass me the salt," and they don't even hear it. So the father goes and gets his typewriter and starts typing like crazy, making all this noise, and they're looking up, and it dawned on them that there's noise, and they said, "Do you mind, Father, if you just is that necessary?" He goes, not at all. And he keeps typing. So they end up taking their phones and putting them away. It's the way, the old school as opposed to the new school. Mm-hmm. Everything has its place.
Yeah, that's right. Especially on soaps, especially.
And so so the changes that are coming are really fascinating. Yeah.
I'm excited to see what's going on.
No, you do it. That's why
I want to see where you're going to live, too. That's very important to me. I'm very concerned about you.
So would I.
Well, I'm clearly not in that warehouse that just got blown up either. So,
well,
Marlena's penthouse.
Oh my God, Marlena's penthouse.
I don't think she would.
No. I'm just thinking of options.
Well, I
Daniel's house.
Oh my God,
can have that.
Well, we'll get to that in a second. But I still find it very interesting that Andre was able to find the body so quickly, only because Rafe had slowed down at mile marker 15 and taken.
There's not much news in Salem. So when somebody gives you a piece of information like that,
I like that. That's a good point.
You got a point.
Yeah.
And if you're smart like Andre is, and someone says that, see, you wouldn't have picked that up.
Yeah.
Because you're actually putting ridicule into that.
Yeah.
So I'm saying to you, when you are looking for anything, because there's nothing,
right,
and you know something's wrong, someone knowing that Rafe goes in a different direction as opposed to his usual, and pauses at a stop where it's a big building.
Yeah.
Someone said, if you could afford to pay those guys or have those guys, how come you didn't know about the demolishing of the building?
Yeah.
To me, it was that was a piece of information. You don't have to word it all out. It doesn't have to be an essay.
Yeah.
You can just, it's just a word. If you're smart enough, you're going, wait a minute, that's an interesting statement.
Yeah.
And he follows through, and he does go through, and he does discover his father. Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to have a week of making something in information. How do you use that information, and then where do you place it, and then you eventually find it? Well, you know how people on soaps are, they'll get bored.
Yeah.
Cut to the action.
Yeah.
Cut to what they want to see.
Yeah.
Not whether the information...
I
feel bad. I think I said that last week, so now I feel bad. I'm like,
that's all right.
Well,
You've got me to explain.
No, you cracked the whip. I know. I we've said this before.
Yeah.
That I would love to have like the writers here, because sometimes I feel like I'm missing something. Like why did they do that? Why didn't they just do it like this?
Yeah.
And I'm sure they have a logical explanation, like you just had, that I just don't know about because I'm...
Well, it's also at that particular point when some people were saying, so how come you didn't call the police or whatever? Well, the police are the reason why...
Right, I was going to say it's Andre.
You know what I mean? The police, they would have arrested him. This is somewhere where he can gather his thoughts.
Well, didn't you even have a conversation with Chad where he said, call the police or something, and you said, like, they're going to believe the DiMeras or something?
Right.
Yeah.
So, that's true.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Totally.
Well, I think I kept picturing when they did say mile marker 15 that, like, he's on a highway and nowhere near the building, and so it for some reason didn't make sense that that little piece of information was relevant. I was like, so he slowed down at mile marker 15, maybe like a car was in his way or something. Like I thought something completely different than
when they couldn't find any information at all, and suddenly he didn't make it like it was so important. Andre picked it up as
Andre
important.
did, yeah.
The way the guy addressed the thing was like just, we followed Andre. He went into a different direction. He's gone there twice or 3 times this week, and he pauses every time he goes by. Well, I don't care if you're looking for somebody in a small town, and the guy who you're suspecting of being part of my father's disappearance, I'm going to investigate that. So some things, they used to complain and say, oh my God, aren't you going to move the story onwards? Aren't you this is taking too long. Well, now you get to the point, and then people are saying, but how did you get there?
Well, that's what I find myself doing now, is I like that they're going quicker, but then there's times I'm like, I wanted to be a little bit more. Maybe just a smidge more.
Like you said, a word or
maybe one extra day, not a week.
That's okay.
That's just me.
Well, the people who are about to face the wrath of Andre are Hope and Rafe, who are currently on Smith Island at the Horton cabin.
What's the matter?
You can live at Smith Island. You have your own island.
What are you groaning for?
Here's my deal, because everybody knows I love Hope. Kristen Alfonso, that's my girl, and I love her to death. And I'm happy to see her on screen, working as an actress.
However,
because you say however, I don't care for this part of the storyline. I feel like they're pushing. They're really pushing Hope and Rafe together.
Well, I think,
and she just lost 2 men that she was in love with.
Yes,
and Sierra's pushing her too.
And the thing is, it's very much this thing where the timing of the show. They're saying the timing is like it was just a day ago. It was just 2 days ago. It was just a week ago. It's like they're actually telling us the time.
Well, I don't know about you, but when you've lost somebody like she has, and there's a huge vacuum, any kind of affection that comes from, especially since he also is in the police force, and so that to me, you see those relationships where someone comforts someone, but they've been secretly in love with them, but they can't show it.
Yeah.
Don't do that. I'm not. That is not very nice. You know what I mean? That is terrible. I'm trying to make a point. He's shaking his head like.
I'm like,
yeah, I know.
You're Andre.
So what I'm saying is, what you may not like is the chemistry, but as far as why they're together or why she is with him, it's because who else is she going to be embraced by at this particular time where she has lost major people in her life?
Yeah.
Plus, she has killed somebody major.
Yes.
You're looking for anywhere for comfort to hide. I think she's playing that well.
Yeah.
But he's there, But it's what it is.
I think you should write the show.
And
because you're good.
I mean, I do think, I feel like you're the stuff that we always question. You at least have a logical explanation for it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, call me.
Now I know that's what I'm gonna have to do now. I'm like, what would Thaao say?
Call me. Yeah, call Thaao. Explain the scene to me on Tuesday,
That's gonna be my new hashtag.
Yeah.
What would Thaao say?
Yeah. So anyway, now that I've made a mess of your table, go ahead.
We have people to clean it up.
I spilled coffee on the table.
But now it's a party.
That's what Andre does, Tony was the perfection, and Andre was the klutz. Well, that's what I used to do.
I think with Hope and Rafe, we've seen this, kind of chemistry and something there that they haven't really explored. It's kind of been a very underlining theme, even when she was with Aiden. And I think now that everything is happening, and now especially since Rafe is like her partner in crime with Stefano, I think it does draw them closer together, although Sierra's just kind of like, no one has time for this to go as slow as snails as y'all are doing. I'm just going to put it out there. I think you like him and he likes you, so why not?
Yeah.
I personally think that John Marlena should be part of the story.
See, that's what do you think about that?
Of Hope and Rafe?
We thought that
of the Andre and Hope, and it'll be the whole thing. I mean, Hope should be telling John Marlena, I killed Stefano. Like, there should be some kind of thing because Stefano ruined. We just
felt like more people should be involved.
They should be involved. I mean, if you working against Deidre and Drake and all, that'd be great.
There's no. It's like no.
You can't say anything. You can't say anything. Maybe something's coming up. You can't say anything.
So
okay,
next question.
Okay, got it. I love it.
No, you're wrong.
Silence is toying with us.
Silence is not always golden.
This is true.
Thaao.
Yes.
Playing with our emotions here.
Yes.
So as we mentioned, they're all in Smith Island and at the Horton cabin, and I don't know. The dynamic that they're trying to show us, kind of creating this what could be possibly a family in the future. I think it's interesting to have Hope, who's like the hands-on, I'm gonna go fishing girl, and Rafe is kind of like, I brought steaks, we don't necessarily need to fish anymore. The kid who gets hit by the skunk and then their whole little triangle too.
Yes,
Rafe doesn't have any kids of his own.
No.
So, but he's always kind of been a father. He was a father to Sammy's kids, father to everybody, but not.
He does have beautiful kids in real life, though.
Yeah.
He really does.
Yeah, he does.
Yes. So, what was your question?
Another statement, Thaao. Another statement.
I think I'm just going to be the statement guy, and I'll let them be the question. I now feel like every time I talk, Thao's looking at me like, at what point are you going to get to your question? That's what I'm looking for.
I think every time.
So we'll see what develops more with that. Oh, but we did see that Sierra found the phone
Yes.
from Chase, and I'm assuming that
Me too.
He's sending the text.
He's the one that's sending
Yeah.
the text, which we said before,
We did.
because we kind of noticed that that Theo obviously likes Sierra.
Yes.
Sierra may have a thing for Theo.
Right.
But Chase likes Theo. And then we saw this week that Claire has something for Chase. But
it
he
worked
shut
out.
that down real quick.
He sure did, didn't he?
It's daytime.
He shut that down fast. He was like, done.
Either that look was, what's going on with that storyline, or where's his question?
I'm trying to find humility.
You have humility.
I think Andre should have a kid come to town. You've got to. Andre's got to have kids out there somewhere.
Got to have fun. Yes. Somebody asked me,
I mean-
do you have any children? I said, I'm not sure.
That's a good
Yeah,
answer.
one will pop up eventually.
Yeah, one will pop
Well, you know, a grand idea that could happen
Uh-oh, here
with
we
that
go.
is one that we've been pushing quite
We?
often here.
I think turn the W upside down.
Okay, me.
Him.
There's a little thing that we start here called #Maxine's son, and Maxine was the nurse at the station.
Aloma. You know
Aloma,
right?
right?
Yes.
And if Andre is looking for a kid or needs a kid to pop up, I think we can make that happen.
Oh,
your
aren't
son.
there enough?
I don't know.
Would you want Tony to be your son?
Oh my God, we got
I think we got our answer, ladies and gentlemen.
an answer. Yeah. I think we got our answer.
Tony, it's not going to happen.
Apparently not.
Not gonna happen.
Well, you know what? At least I have a mom in Salem because Aloma Wright was all about it.
She was. Aloma
Now we just
loves
got to
you.
find you a baby daddy.
A baby daddy.
I thought problem was solved, but
He's all looking at something. He's like, sip your tea.
But-
Like, sip your tea.
Your tea.
Sip your
It
tea.
reminded me of the guy in Australia when I was a guest on a talk show who said to me, so tell us, what was it like growing up in Australia with your colouring? And I looked at him and I said, oh, what colour's that?
Oh my God.
Yes.
Wow.
That's
Wasn't that a
something
good
else.
question? And then I hosted the show 3 weeks later for a week
Oh.
because
where was he?
he took a holiday. He liked my answer. I actually put him in his place.
Ooh, good. Good
And he
for
said,
you.
"Oh, we found." I will just say for the record, I would never ask you a question like that.
You wouldn't?
But how is your coloring? Just kidding.
It's very good. It's neutral all the way down.
I love it. That's good. I like that answer. That's a good answer.
All right, so moving on to some other folks in Salem.
Really, must we?
Oh, must we? Oh, must we?
There's a couple other people.
Let's talk about some of those who died.
Oh, okay. Well, speaking of those that died, we had Daniel's funeral this week.
I think this is the point where I can get you a refill if you need.
Oh, dang. He's all.
Mark
I can leave the room now.
Mark is not a huge fan of the character of Daniel Jonas.
No, the
and
whole Jonas family.
the whole Jonas family.
What don't you like about
I
it?
don't like any of them.
Really? They're not appealing? Or it's just the reputation?
All of the above.
Oh,
I don't like any of them. They never should have came to Salem.
well, they're almost gone.
Thank God.
Well, I mean, they pretty much are because Daniel's gone.
Yeah.
Melanie,
who
was
had a
back.
bigger memorial than
I said that online.
Bo Brady.
Yep.
Okay, so
That's ridiculous.
no.
Well, people have to also understand about Brady. You know, he just wanted to come back for a short time.
No, I know that, but it's like, but they still could have had a candlelight vigil for him. He didn't have to be there.
True. But Daniel's was a big farewell, I suppose.
Who cares?
But you have to look at it from
Stefano
the
better have a good one.
Well, I don't think Stefano's
Yeah,
gonna
he's like, no.
I don't think Stefano's going to have one. Who's going to be there? Andre. It's just going to be Andre.
I'm going to
and-
do a candlelight vigil outside of AfterBuzz for Stefano.
for Stefano. You may be by yourself.
But, well, what's funny is the whole storyline.
Billy will come.
All Daniel fans got their due this week. I mean,
Yeah.
if you were a Daniel Jonas fan, you really got your due. They
Yeah.
really did.
Or a Melanie fan.
Or Melanie fan or Maggie, they really did. Melanie didn't say much, but it's like, but that whole family, they got their due. If you're a fan of them, they did a good job for them.
But I understood the whole point of the memorial was that he was a doctor that had saved
Yeah.
many lives.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So of course, there's a bigger attachment to
He was on the
this
show how
particular
long?
person.
How many years?
7.
And Bo was on the show how many years?
Well, Bo was
Just curious.
Bo was on the show for
Total?
about
Off and on.
maybe 30 years.
Yeah.
My point. Thank you.
But was Bo Brady a doctor?
It doesn't matter. He's a Brady. The Brady pub. Brady. Everyone's named Brady.
That's loud.
See, now you see how the earphones. That's what I say. I have to keep it down. You have controls there too if you need to. If you need to tune me out.
Oh yeah.
Just turn off mic 4.
Can I show you my gun?
I just think there's a bit of a what they were trying to show was that there was a bit of a difference with Dr. Daniel Jonas because he was known for saving a lot of lives. So that's why there was a memorial there for him.
Okay. Next week.
And it was also used as a way for Eric to mourn as well because for what he did.
Well, yes, it affected so many characters.
It did.
Their death. So
Okay.
Coming into other people's storylines, we don't.
Yeah.
You don't have the time.
Yeah.
To learn that many pages.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's 5, 4, 3, 2 and you're on your way, and that you want them to call you one take Thaao, you know what I mean? Then you don't want 10 take Thaao. That makes a big difference.
Because if you're 10 take Thaao, you won't get that good lighting.
I don't get it anyway.
You're getting the lighting anyway.
No. I mean, there are times, sometimes it's so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you're doing 8 shows a week. And I did 6 shows this past week.
Wow.
It's a lot. 2 on Monday, 2 on Tuesday, big one on Wednesday, and 1 on Friday.
Ooh, okay.
So that was, when I got through Wednesday, I just suddenly went, oh my God, someone had a cocktail. My first cocktail since I left Cuba. That's how I felt. I had a double tequila on the rocks.
Yes!
That's right.
Yes! All the DiMeras drink that, huh?
No.
Here's what Thaao does. We like a Thaao drink.
I know one other that does.
Oh God! But it was. I think that on the other side of this, I loved Ari Zuku's work. I loved Greg Kahn's work.
Yes.
Even Deidre got a chance to play her and he plays Roman. Had a chance to play Josh. Thank you. Josh got a chance to play the parents who are seeing their son go through this. And when Nicole went off on Eric. That little breather, then she stopped herself. It was I just can't see you anymore.
Nicole's a lovely.
Ari is wonderful. We love Ari. Oh my God,
love her.
She is a terrific.
She's amazing.
I've always enjoyed working with her. When I did before the last time I died. The last time before I was resurrected. She's a wonderful gal, and she's very attractive. She's a very kind of sensual woman. And she's a very strong woman. So I always enjoyed that. I like Dee. I must say I enjoy Dee because with Dee it's a different matter. I always feel like Andre wants to rape her. In the best terms. Right. She's always so stoic. You want to shake her up.
Yeah.
I can picture. I love it. Like you picture, like just Marlena, calm down.
I do that to her sometimes. She'll say, "What were you thinking?" And I said, "Do you want to know?" She's I said, "I was thinking that this is what I was doing to you." And she goes, "No." I said, "Yeah." So you do those things. Right. That helps you get through the scenes.
Right.
With Kate, it's a different matter. Do you like?
I love Kate.
Isn't she great?
Oh my God, Lauren is the
fantastic.
best too. Lauren is the best.
Yeah.
I only see the stuff I have coming up.
Great.
Okay.
It's more teaser.
Well, I said when she was here, I was happy that A. Martinez, we were talking about him earlier, that he's on, and it looked like they're starting to pair them up. And
now Vincent
is on there now, and I'm like, oh my God.
Vincent?
Oh, I love Vincent. I've been watching her from Guiding Light and Zen Barbara.
I just like it. Like I was like, finally, she's getting guys that are on her level, and I would, Andre. I like that.
I'll check that box. Strong men. Soaps need strong men also, and so and Vincent's a good, strong leading man, and so he's proven himself on other shows. All My Children, all these other shows. I saw the chemistry right off when they were sitting there. I was like, "There's chemistry."
I literally was just like, "Oh my God!" But I like her with Eduardo too. And now you say that. Now I'm torn.
Yeah.
Well, you'll see as things progress what happens. I don't know what happened with A. Martinez. With Eduardo. But I looked at the canvas and I thought of all the women there, who would Andre like?
Yeah.
And I brought her up.
Yeah.
And I thought, there's something about her. She has mystery. You know, when you're with her, that face is so stoic.
Oh, yeah.
And you go, and you want to get in somehow. You want to disturb that somehow. You want to, it's like when we did the tango years ago.
Yeah.
And we had a sequence recently where we talked. And I said to the director, I said, that she and I tangoed? No. And the crew guy just right away goes on and gets it. He says, yeah, look. He goes, I want that as a flashback in this scene.
Oh,
that's great. Oh, my God.
That type of thing.
Yeah.
There's history there.
Yeah.
It's not just suddenly, now she's going with Andre.
Yeah.
There's history there.
Yeah.
So they're planting that seed to remind the audience of that history, which I thought was
like
good.
that.
And she had been with Stefano. I mean, she was with Stefano. And I love their pairing together, too. So adds another layer, too. She was she's in with the DiMeras. I mean, she's in there.
Yeah, but she's the most, of all the characters, she's the most ambivalent kind of volatile, mysterious creature that you want to find out what is being hidden. And as a character, whether she has or not, it intrigues you to play that,
The fans are liking that so far. They call it Condre. They're liking it. So they're kids like Kate and Andre. They're liking it. That's an idea.
Be interesting.
I like that. Tony, get us back on track.
Just to finish off with Daniel's funeral, Eric was arrested.
Yes.
He was released from the hospital and arrested, but posted bail. Brady is still dealing with the flashbacks and memories and of
which
Daniel.
I did Google, by the way, and there are people that have, because I was like, is this real?
Yeah.
That you get someone's heart and you have their memories and stuff like that, and it is a legitimate thing. There was somebody that the person whose heart they got, they used to eat junk food or something, and now the person is like, I'm obsessed with junk food now.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll give it to Days. I think
there was one where a guy got the heart of a killer.
Oh.
And the thoughts and what he was going through.
Ooh, that's deep.
Wow.
So I'm okay with it. At first I was going to be like, but now I'm like, okay.
Well,
I like that it's.
I was kind of like that too. I was like, I don't know how I.
I'm interested to see where it's going to go.
Yes.
Whether it's going to be Brady and Nicole, maybe Finn and Teresa.
Because Nicole and Teresa are close too, kind of. That's a whole dimension. I mean, they're like working together, and she was like comforting her when Nicole loses it. It's like that's a great dimension of just a regular triangle again. Like there's something else, there.
Well, she's losing it, but also Teresa's kind of like, I'm watching you too.
Right. All right.
She's getting a little nervous about how close Brady and Nicole are getting, and she's worried.
I feel like I just went into another country,
right?
And another language is going on. I have no idea what he's talking about.
This is when you're in your dressing room learning your lines.
Yeah, so you're
This is what's going on. We're just going to discuss that for a moment.
This is the moment where the powder comes on.
Yeah.
And we have to mention, we saw Lucas for a second.
I even tweeted out, Melissa Reeves, thanks for calling
Lucas
and getting him back on the screen. I love Brian.
So do I.
I thought he and I'm
the racetrack together.
Oh,
he's a great.
I thought his work with Will's funeral and everything, it was just, I mean, and that he didn't get an Emmy nomination. I'm a little upset about.
Well, I tell you, I saw everybody's work, and it's just amazing those who did, because I remember seeing some of them and I'm going, well, no, that's not going to work. And they got nominated, and I went, there's someone's doing.
Yeah. There's shady stuff.
There's shady stuff going on, because there's two characters in the main category that I thought this year their work was ordinary. And I went, is that just because it's automatic, or is that because and how did that get in there?
Yeah.
You kind of, it's just like now with the Oscars, and we don't have enough diversity. The voting system is not perfect,
right?
And daytime has never been perfect ever.
Right.
Yeah,
and so it's what it is, and the thing is, nobody remembers the next day anything. What I love is that your parents or your family love the idea.
Right.
It's like, but for us, it's like next day we just go on. Nobody says anything because it doesn't make a difference to your career.
Right.
All,
But I think it's too, like when as you're watching,
that moment.
and as long as I feel like, as long as I know he deserves that, and I will tell him that when I see him. You know what I mean? Just so you know.
Right.
You deserved it. You got screwed. You know what I mean? Like sometimes that's enough for people. You know.
Yeah. So, but we saw him for a minute, and we saw Jennifer, who's in pain, round of pills.
Okay, can we point out the fact
that she's still wearing high heels?
That too. But
that
that Jennifer, who just has the back pain, seems to be in more pain than the person who has a new heart.
Oh, that is
like
true.
Brady's just like jumping up and doing this and doing that, and then Jennifer's like, I have to answer the door. You know what I mean? Like it's like I'm like complete opposite. I'm like, come on, guys, can you at least walk a little bit slower there? You just got a new heart in your chest.
She's one of the great humans.
I thought she was. I think she's fantastic. And her, I almost tweeted out.
Yeah,
her arms, her muscles,
super sweet.
She's got some guns. Last week I saw her.
Do you remember the sequence in the Brady pub when Andre comes in and tells everybody why he's still around?
Yes.
Yes.
All that bravado.
Mm-hmm. And actually, I think you got my 3 Snaps award.
I think you did.
Yes.
You got his award that week for your performance.
He just walked on in.
Yeah.
It's not an Emmy.
It's not an Emmy, but
it's an AfterBuzz award. Baby steps. Baby steps. Thaao.
I looked over at Jennifer, and she had tears in her eyes, which I thought was kind of strange for the scene that I was doing. And I said, "What's the matter?" As we were just rehearsing, she goes, "You just reminded me of where we used to be and what we used to do and how we were a great family together.
Yeah.
And suddenly seeing you after all these years, it's just like, oh my God, we can have those great times again."
Yeah.
And I thought that was so sweet of her to just communicate that and for her to be there. And it was interesting to see the younger ones who never knew the character.
Right.
Yeah.
To look like, because when they had to say, who is he?
Who is he?
Yeah.
I mean, that was for real.
Yeah.
Who is he?
Right.
'Cause
Who is this guy?
They weren't even born when we
Right.
started.
No,
Right?
not at all. No.
So, and then, it was Kate Mounsey who said to me, "You're good." And I went, oh, I mean, a 22-year-old telling you,
good.
Oh, hi. She says, "I bet you don't even know my name," she said to me. I said, "Yes, I do." She says, "What is it?" And I thought, what a challenging woman. She's so strong, and that's why I think her character was such a success. I said, "It's Munsey." And she goes, "And what's my first name?" I said, "Starts with a K." And with that, from that moment, it was like, she and I, every time we saw each other, was hug, and kiss, and hug.
Okay.
Great gal.
Yeah. But that was for me, that was a great moment when you basically walked in, because I'm sure fans were like buzzing with like questions. Well, how's it this? And you just came in and just laid it out all on the table. It was that moment of like, you're good.
And then someone just wrote in here too. I love when JJ asking the question to Jen, and she said, "I'll explain later."
Yeah.
About to JJ. I'll explain who he is later.
Oh goodness. All right, so we'll see how all that unfolds. We're gonna zip right through the rest of our stuff so that we can have you guys call in live so that you can ask your questions, because clearly I don't ask questions.
No, not anymore. Isn't it wonderful the lessons we learn? Sometimes late.
Better late than never. So we have the storyline with Steve, Kayla, Ava, and Joey.
Yes.
It is now discovered that Steve has become more worried about Kayla, and he finds out that Ava has obviously kidnapped her.
I love that she was just like, "Yeah, I did it.
I did.
Yeah.
I got her.
Yeah.
You can't have her back."
Yeah, he did. She's like,
She's a good actress.
And it's like,
yeah, she's great.
She's a great actress.
Yeah,
she's great.
Oh my God.
She's amazing, and it's just and the way she was just kind of like, well, I needed it as bait because I knew. It's almost like she knew that he wasn't going to help her, even though the whole forgiving thing and everything like that.
I was just gonna say, I've just been noticing too, like, I kind of like, we always talk about this before when we had the old writers and stuff, is like, there's always these storylines that we as watchers know what's going on, but they don't. But I'm kind of digging that they're talking about everything. Yeah. Like, we knew that Ava told them, "I've got her, you can't have her back till you find my son." I like that Teresa sees that there's something that Brady's telling her, "I'm having these thoughts of," you know what I mean? And they talk about Caroline's visions. Like, I like that
it's not something that's like discovered.
It's not something that's, I don't know why I'm liking that it's being discussed.
Well, he goes to Chad and says, "Our father, something's happened to our father." There's none of this kind of like, not gonna say nothing.
Someone ringing?
No. I heard her phone too.
Oh, Tony Moore.
It's not me.
Not me either.
Someone's phone on?
No.
Oh, it is.
It is you.
Oh, is it? Oh my goodness! I'm like, it sounds so close.
Sorry.
think he's looking like.
See, he just kees getting better.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter if he's not gonna have anything for his reel on this show anyway, so we don't have to worry about it.
Well, see,
Just don't even download this one. You don't need this one.
No.
You don't need this one.
it's like I'm usually. I don't know.
Tell me more.
I turn it off.
It's usually a lot more.
I swear. I swear.
Unless it's Aloma Wright calling you to offer you the role of her son.
Not. It is. It's actually my niece who's in Japan who is like calling me on this like uvu thing.
Uvu, that's right.
Technology.
Yes.
Okay.
And you wanted to share it.
No, I wanted to ask you a question, but then that happened, and now I've totally forgot.
No, don't say that. You're getting worse.
You know, prior to all of the other shows, I've been really good until this one.
You fluster him.
I don't know. Maybe.
You fluster him.
Yeah,
I like it.
I flustered him. I butted into his essay.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God.
So we're gonna.
So okay, basically, Joey's in love with Ava.
Are we
Yes.
still there?
Really quickly.
We're gonna move on soon.
And I think it's.
Well, we can wait in the chat room.
What I was going to say is, I think it's a great twist.
Yes.
That because she didn't expect that part. She had her own plan.
Well, yeah.
And now he's kind of like, I'm in love with you. I want to be with you. She's like, wait a minute. Okay, this is kind of.
And there's a moment where I was like, so was this her plan? Like, did she do this elaborate plan so that Steve will agree to help her find her baby?
I think so. I think that was part of it.
That's a huge plan to go through.
But I think Joey's the one that throws the monkey wrench in there. And of course, he got drunk, and there was he spilled at the boring party that Sierra had. That was the boring party.
Well, speaking of the party, like we'll go right into that, into our tidbits.
Yeah.
So there was this whole.
I feel like I've left the party.
We're going fast. We're getting through. We're going fast.
Oh my God, let's get to the dessert.
Yes. Okay, so basically the Salem party happened with the teens. Joey got there. He was very drunk, and I was surprised that they just let him go.
Yeah.
You know, drunk Joey, who's like only 16, mind you.
Did you see my tweet?
Yes, I did.
I googled the age of consent in Illinois.
It's 17
because of the Joey Ava story.
And tweeted
I tweeted it out.
Do we answer any of these questions?
We can. Do you want to answer?
I think it'd be nice if people are throwing questions. We can just, we can't do them all, but excuse me, did I interrupt you?
But it was a boring party. Like I say, it was boring.
Yes.
They kept building it up.
There was one question a lady asked when we passed it about the scenes that I did with Sammy, and did I enjoy working with those scenes? It was such an interesting contrast from when I was a clown and how I really upset her when I got into bed with her, as opposed to when she came back and I saw a new maturity in her.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, don't F with me kind of attitude.
Right.
So it was a different dynamic. And to your question, I thought they were really interesting scenes because not too many people keep me on my toes, but she did that day. Even though I had a lot of the dialogue, she and I were coming from, I had just arrived and she had just guest starred for a second before she leaves again.
Oh, that's right.
So it was a kind of interesting dynamic, and the fact that we hadn't come across each other since the clowns.
Got it.
Someone's asking if we're going to get the big DiMera living room back.
Oh.
Can you say? You probably can't.
You will see
more
that house. My situation's going to be different. I can't say what, but I love the idea.
Okay.
So, there's good things really to look forward to. I think this is an interesting writer, Josh, who loves walking through the halls of Burbank Studios. I see him outside, and he's constantly thinking, and then he comes back in and he writes things down. He's like walking his story, and I remember I saw him one day, and I said, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm thinking story. I'm thinking, what is that?" And so I'll throw something at him. He goes, it's like I have some Shakespeare. I see sometimes Andre as being Richard III, who at the funeral as they're carrying the coffin of the man he murdered, he seduces the wife. That kind of. So I was able to do similar to that in that scene. So it's you just never know with him. He's gothic.
Yes, that's a good word.
It's not. And I think, right now, the way things in our history is paralleling the anxiety, the fear, the people are afraid. People don't want to take responsibility that our thoughts and what we say out there also manifests action. And I'm saying not that every day we have to, be poetry and polite, but when you see, and people are in denial, and I've been to Syria, when you see the way those families are and the way they've been going, it makes what we do so unimportant because we've destroyed a whole civilization in our time.
Right.
So, this writer writes the way the world is, concentrated in a small town. Yeah. But the world is not a happy place. I mean, look at all the chaos we've seen this past year. So,
I was going to say that a lot of people have been saying when we have our show, like all the death and stuff that's been happening, they don't seem happy with it. But
no, it's not an easy thing to suddenly see that maybe someone you liked or attracted to or you enjoyed catching up with every day is going. I don't have any sympathy with that because I've died that many times. I remember the last time I was lying in the bed and everybody left and the crew, I said I didn't want a cake because I called it the cake of death. And I sat and lying in the bed and it was a big crying, emotional scene because I couldn't talk. Even that head writer, James Riley, was gone now. Yeah. One of those shut me up. That he gave me my language, I couldn't talk, so I had to listen. But I remember looking up at the ceiling and thinking my history of all that took place and the characters I crossed paths with, and then the tears started to come, and then I did the scenes, and that's where the stuff came. But suddenly I got up and there was nobody there. Yeah. I was totally on my own, and I went, "What did I do?" Yeah. So sometimes some exits are not great. Others, I've left because I wanted to. But it's not when those characters go, imagine what the audience feels like. Especially especially the women towards the men. They feel like there's a crush there, or there's a character who plays a certain way, and suddenly they're no more, and they have to make an adjustment. Well, what do I have instead? Yeah. So they have to make adjustments. Well, that's what life is.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, that's a good. So you should be writing everything because you bring it all together. I mean, you totally bring it all together.
Do you think one of the writers would come on here? I know a lot of times they don't want to be on.
Josh.
One of them. I don't care.
Josh.
Would he come?
Radina.
I'll ask him.
Can you put in a good word?
Yeah.
Tell him he can sit next to this hair.
Yeah. I'll ask him. He's a great guy.
I would love to. I just would love to. We always have questions that we're like, I wish we knew we could get a writer in here because it just. I'm just curious about the process. I'm curious about why they think the way. I mean, I don't know.
Me too.
I feel like there's something I'm missing out on.
Yeah. Well, the other writers are not approachable. He's very approachable.
Oh, okay. So I'll keep tweeting him and annoy him like I did.
Do you tweet him?
I do.
And does he respond?
No, he doesn't even like them.
No.
He ignores me. Billy ignored me for a while, so I'll just have to keep going.
Why did Billy ignore you?
I don't know. We're friends now. It's okay.
Oh, you are? How deep is that?
We're friends.
How deep is that?
We've shared a glass of wine.
Oh, you have?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Well, speaking of friendship,
in Niagara Falls.
Did you ever ask him?
It didn't mean that much to me.
Oh boy! Oh god!
It's a honeymoon to me.
Well, nothing like a honeymoon in no.
And all we did was tweet you the whole time we were there.
I enjoyed that whole time.
Yeah,
that was fun.
That was fun.
And I love Niagara Falls. Mm. Oh, how could you not? Look at that.
I didn't actually go to them because I thought my hair would get.
You didn't go? Oh.
I saw them as I drove in, and I saw them from the hotel. I just didn't walk down to them because I could feel the spray walking outside.
I went into the boat, into them.
Yeah, that's this hair.
Too close. Who cares?
Come on.
Who cares?
I'll go again.
It's a magical experience.
Oh my god! And you're not even an actor.
Oh, he is. Remember the headshot that I showed you?
Oh,
actress.
Yeah.
I prefer actress.
Yeah.
No.
He's like, no.
I don't think so.
I love it. He's like, I don't think so.
All right, so I know you guys are very anxious to have your questions answered from Thaao, so we're going to wrap things up and let you guys know that our segments will be posted on our Facebook page on Dishin Days. Yeah. So we'll post our 3 Snaps Award, James will post a Look Who's Related, and we'll find the Quote of the Week and Fan of the Week.
Perfect.
So now we will continue with our talk with Thaao, and we're going to take your questions. You can give us a call live at 424-253-0749. Again, that's 424-253-0749.
Yeah, I like this.
That's right.
I'm going to interrupt you because there's a question here that I think is really interesting. Did you say good?
You want me to read it out loud? Here, I'll read the question. There's a romantic element to Andre. He's the last DiMera of an old world generation. Ooh. Does Andre recognize this and thus choose to work as a lone operative, or will he choose to rebuild the family? Interesting question. And that was John Del Rey. John Del Rey?
Well, I am old school. It's tradition. I mean, my generation was about tradition. It was about things were not commonplace. Things were achieving great strides to move forward, conquering fears and all that, and respect for your elders. But the interesting thing, and the reason why I picked on that question was because that's a question I placed to one of my producers. And there are results coming.
Okay, good.
Okay.
We like that.
So thanks for the good question.
Well, a lot of people on here were saying earlier, saying Thaao is so suave, and they like the way you speak.
Yes.
There are a lot of people who were saying that. They just think it's very nice.
What's that?
They're just saying that they think you're very
your
suave.
Voice.
And the way they think you carry yourself. They like the way you carry yourself. Cheese and crackers.
Jesus crackers.
Jesus crackers.
Thaao, are you ready to take our first caller?
I can't believe that was a whole plate that was brought for your guest, and I had one, and they're all gone. When did you eat them all? Oh my God!
I didn't eat them all.
You wouldn't survive in a Greek house.
I wouldn't. Would you like?
Did you leave that last one for me? I don't think so. I think that one died. Seeing how you ate all the other ones.
I'm gonna now have to figure out a way to get into the heart of Thaao, because today I'm not doing such a good job.
Thaao, would you like?
Here's another question.
To have Johnny and Sydney to come back and play their uncle. What?
Johnny and Sydney are EJ and Sammy's kids. Would you like them to come back and play their uncle? Like Soraz them, make them grow up really fast, and then have more DiMeras in the house.
That I can't answer because I've never thought about that. But if you like it, I'll say yes.
Well, you got Theo there. Theo's there. He's your nephew too. So.
What character, past or present, do you think would be perfect romantic pairing for Andre?
Oh, I always like Deidre, but romantically, no. They put her always with Drake, you know. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've always loved Leanne, but Leanne's not there, so I have to say Kate.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the name Kate, you know.
Yeah.
It's like from the musical Kiss Me Kate.
Yeah.
You know how he puts her over her knee and smacks her bottom.
Oh. Is this foreshadowing of what's to come?
No. I don't think that she would appreciate that. Nor would I even think of that.
Yeah.
I'd rather seduce her with the tango.
Oh. Yes.
That's much more interesting.
We now have a caller on the line that's going to ask a question live. So, caller number 1, we'll take that call, Mark. Go ahead and...
Oh, the other Mark. I'm like, what? What do you want me to do? The other Mark.
Yeah.
Hello?
There we go.
Well, welcome to AfterBuzz TV. You are on live on Dishin Days. And we have Thaao here. What's your question or comment?
Hi, this is Susie from Georgia.
Hey, Susie. How are you? Susie is one of our
really
favorite
excited
supporters.
To see such a wonderful talent with you guys today. Mm-hmm. So thank you for joining AfterBuzz, Thaao. We're really, really happy to have you on. My question to him was, as viewers, we have seen some characters that we have liked that have been villains, and they have been redeemed on the show. For example, Teresa Donovan, who came in and she was a complete, horror, and now she's turning in relief, where she's really
Say it like you
people are
feel it.
liking her more. I tend to like the DiMeras being all naughty, and I was just wondering if you would like to see Andre somehow be redeemed, or if you think that would kind of change the whole dimension or the dynamic that the DiMeras represent on the show.
Well, I don't think people are innocent. I think we begin that way. You just have to look at our politics and just look at the world, and you see all the diabolicalness that goes on. So for me to want to change, I think you've got to have. I don't see myself as a villain. I see a person who is trying to do the best way he can survive because he's followed in his father's footsteps. But I don't. As far as redeeming that, when you start having love stories that work out, people get bored with them. That's the reason why Days has been successful of unrequited love. I feel the same thing. If you don't have a good villain, you don't have a hero.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
And when your hero comes, huffing and puffing at you, you gotta make it as entertaining as possible. So I enjoy the subtleties and the disturbances that Andre plays. But there are times where I just want to, like with Leanne Hunley, where things were just wonderful and beautifully executed and dancing and having wonderful dinners. Well, those things are coming back. That's still an element that he lives. I mean, if you look at The Godfather, he loved dancing, he loved doing certain things, but, when he had to line up the business and take charge, he did. So it just gives me more diversity as far as a character rather than the heroes bore me, to be honest with you. If you don't have someone challenging them, what are they going to be heroic about?
True. That's very true. True. Well, Susie, thank you.
Well, I do appreciate that, and I want you to know that we love you being the wonderful, evil, and conniving Andre that you can be, and I do appreciate you taking my call.
Thank you so much.
Susie, for calling in.
Although I wouldn't.
Oh, they want to know the number to call, Tony. Is it up on the screen?
424-253-0749. That's 424-253-0749. And we have another caller on the line. Hello, caller. Welcome to AfterBuzz TV's Dishin Days. You are on live. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Kimberly from Maryland.
Hello, Kimberly from Maryland. How are you?
I'm good. I was just calling to say that I love you guys. And
Thank you.
my question is for Thaao. I was just wondering, why didn't they make him Tony? I kind of like Tony better than
Well, I tell
Andre.
you, when I went to the meeting, if you really want to know the truth.
Yes.
Yes.
Dish it here.
That's it.
Breaking news. Put that up again.
No. I'd like to finish what I started.
Sorry.
What it was, when they asked me to come back, and I had a meeting for about 2 or 3 hours, it was, and Ken came in and they were going about what they wanted, and I said, well, who are we bringing back? Which one didn't die that I didn't know about? Right. And he says, well, Tony got a stake through his heart, so he's dead. And I went,
Wow.
So Andre, he turned it off, but you never saw what happened to the body. So that gave them leverage. And besides, if Tony came back, even though I liked him, I think Andre is an extension of him in many ways. Mm-hmm. Maybe not as smooth, but I think, and maybe not as romantic, but I think that's going to all change. I think what you'll see in the future is a combination of both characters.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Can I ask, and you would normally ask you this, our historian,
Yes.
but I'll ask you since you're here. Who was on first, Andre or Tony? Tony?
Tony.
Okay. That's what I thought. Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for calling in and continue supporting us here at Dishin Days on AfterBuzz TV.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have another caller on the line. Hello, caller. Welcome to AfterBuzz TV's Dishin Days. You are on live. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Gail. I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, hi, Gail.
Hi, Gail.
I know Gail. How are you?
I'm good. How are y'all?
We're doing great.
Y'all.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm from the South. My question is for Thaao. It's kind of not days related. I was just wondering how was it working back in the Mission Impossible days with that group of people?
Oh, yeah. That was a highlight in my life because it took me home to Australia. The only reason we shot it in Australia because it was the major strike. So we went to Melbourne and we went to Queensland. It was great because I was able to, I mean, I don't know how anyone has had this experience, but, having come from a foreign country and going home and they all were saying, why would he have left his family? So I was able to go home well, and I was able to bring my family on the sets and things like that. And that crew of actors were absolutely wonderful. Two have gone, Peter and also Tony Hamilton, but I'm seeing the other two, Phil Morris and Jane Badler. I'll be seeing them in the next couple of weeks for dinner. So after all these years, we're still friends. And why, as opposed to when I finished with Days, we're not as friendly afterwards. There's something that was about that time. I don't know if we came out of a concept that we had to really fight for to survive, whereas Days, it's like we see each other so much every day that we don't need to be friends off, even though I do see some of the actors. But they were wonderful. I was sad to see Peter go because he was a wonderful leader. And Tony Hamilton, well, he was a nice-looking guy who just was not well about the way he did things.
I was lucky enough growing up to be able to watch both shows. So I have to say, when it came back on with the second cast, I was so glad to see that you guys kept the original concepts.
Yeah.
That was such an important part of my growing up in my early years. So thank you very much.
Pleasure. But it's like that music, I don't care who you are, when you hear that music, and that's actually the music of your show, you get a hard on. I'm sorry.
Right. You get excited. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you want to dance,
Yeah. It was an exciting part of my growing up years, because that's when, to me, TV was suspenseful.
Yeah.
And they had storylines.
Mm-hmm. Well, also, you have characters.
I do appreciate those shows. So thank you for being a part of a wonderful childhood for me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gail, for calling in, and keep supporting us here at Dishin Days on AfterBuzz TV.
Absolutely. Have a good night, y'all.
Thank you. All right, so we have time for one more caller, and then Thao's going to tell us a little bit about a book that his book Places that he brought in, but we'll get to that in just a second after this last call.
New one.
Yeah, and the new one.
I know you've read them both, I can tell.
Thaao, you know me so well. Welcome to AfterBuzz TV's Dishin Days. You are on live. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Anne from Montreal, Canada.
Oh, hello. How are you?
Montreal.
Hello, fine. How are you?
Doing wonderful. And do you have a question for Thaao?
I do.
Okay.
Question and comment.
Okay.
First, I just want to thank him for giving us so many memories as both Tony and Andre. I've been watching since I was a little girl, and now I'm watching with my little girl. Mm-hmm. So he's giving us both those memories, and I really appreciate that. But I'd like to know, does he see a power struggle happening between Chad and Andre? Because now Chad wants the house. So I'm wondering if that's the beginning of a power struggle.
It's the beginning of Andre's humility. Not an easy place to find. Well, it's just set up that way. I don't know how far down the road they thought of these two characters, because I was like, when Joe was going through his physical problems, that, I was like an emergency call. Would I come back and do it? They don't know until the two actors come together and you see that kind of either love, volatility. It's like I remember in one scene, during rehearsal, I grabbed Chad to turn him around to tell him, and the actor turned around to me and says, "Don't touch me." So when he did that, it set up the dynamic for me of what I was up against. This was not going to be someone who's going to go, oh, kissy, kissy, this is my brother, lovely to have you on set, or whatever. This is a guy who's going saying, don't screw with me. This is who I am. I'm my own guy. I don't give a damn where you came from or what's your history. You got to deal with who I am. And so, which was good because it set up a rivalry, and I think it continues. And I think there's some really interesting stuff. So I think you're going to enjoy what happens between the two of us. And I think these guys have been telling me about, the chemistry between Billy and I. Well, some actors are not always that stimulating. Billy, in many ways, likes to keep people on their toes. But I'm old school, and I don't always accept people's behavior that is not respectable. I'm not saying that he wasn't. It's just that sometimes in the tone or in the way his approach, it's volatile. But then it's what the story is. So, you accept that. But you have to work it up. Otherwise, it's those things that give the writer the influence to go on. Oh, these guys, to kind of, there's an ambivalence there. Let's bring something else in here. So, it's part of helping. So,
well, it's like you said with the super couples, too. When they get along and everybody's happy, it's not fun anymore.
And most of the super couples hate each other.
Right,
That's the interesting thing about it.
Right. Well, thank you so much for calling in.
Well, please give Joe our loves and tell him we miss him, please, if you see him.
Yes, I will. Thank you so much for.
Totally missed.
And I love your country. Canada is a beautiful country. It's also the country I had to go to get my papers to come into this country as an immigrant. So I was in Montreal, and I've worked in Vancouver. I mean, I think it's stunning country. And also, next to Australians, Canada is very similar as far as people's personalities and warmness and embracefulness. So thank you.
Yes.
Well, we hope you come visit us someday.
Yes, maybe Niagara Falls. I'll take this one onto my left and throw him over the falls. and get his hair upset.
Make me get my hair wet. I would get my hair wet if I go with you.
No, I said your hair upset.
Oh, upset.
Well, thanks again for calling in, and make sure you always tune in to us every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on AfterBuzz TV. Thank you. All right, so Thaao, tell us about your books that you have.
I just want to say, Sarah, congratulations. She raised over $6 million for mental awareness.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Anyway, she's a great gal.
And Sarah's the person
yes,
that
I know.
I worked with him.
With Billy. Yeah. Anyway, that tells you something about that person.
So now, do you want to tell us about your books, Thaao?
Oh, yes. Well, I brought a couple.
He's got here.
They're exclusive because they're hardcover. They came out as hardcover now. So I brought two. These books are important in many ways because all the journeys I took throughout my years on Days of Our Lives and created Tony and Andre, all these stories are in here, where I went and the dangers that I went through. And there's a psychic called Tyler Henry. I know how much people have been looking at the e-channels. He gave me a reading. He came into my house and he said to me, you know how many places you have gone to that you were killed almost 5-6 times? And suddenly I flashed back on those dangerous times. So this is what that book is about. It's about the journey I took to come to America, how the embrace I got here, different to what I had in Australia. So I love this country, and so there's a chapter there called Across the Path, and all the great people that cross my path and the stories that come out of it. So I brought 2 copies to give to some people. I don't know how you do it, but my latest one is called Seducing Celebrities One Meal at a Time.
I love it.
Oh, I like that. Great title.
That's the one before this one, or that's the newest one?
No, that's the newest one.
Okay.
I didn't bring you that one because that's expensive.
Well, we'll go buy one.
Yeah, we'll go get one.
If we go buy one, will you sign one that we can give away?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're gonna make that happen.
But I'll use that $34 to. It's an inside joke. Sorry.
Well, I tell you though. Are you finished?
Yes.
I tell you, the new one though is a wonderful. Because I think food is a great seducer of life. So, says he.
Yes.
Of course, right?
Oh, yes, yes.
So it's a great. I think it's all the celebrities that cross my path. If I'd invited them for dinner, what would have been the meals that? So I have the Joanna Cassidy. I have Omar Sharif and a lot of wonderful actors. And the recipes are great. There are 75 recipes, so it's a combination of why food is important. And when I had Christian Alfonso and I had Lauren Koslow and their siblings, not siblings, their spouses. God, where am I? And also James Reynolds, who I just love. So he came with his wife, and Kate Manzi was coming, and then she's shooting a movie, so she was running late. So I told her we'd do another time. But I must say, as soon as they came in, I'd been down to the flower market at 5 a.m. I shopped for 2 days to get it all done. It took me 3.5 hours to put the moussaka together. So all those things to me is what this new book is about. It's about presentation. It's about, if you're going to cook for someone, don't regret it. Love the idea, because your cooking will come out better because that you're interested in sharing. So it's a part of you being shared with other people, and the best way for me, the intimacy of it is the food, and the food seduces because it's a watering hole where they all go around and they eat, and the discussions that take place and the things that we share. And it's interesting to hear stories from actors you've worked with for many years, but you've never known these stories. So we shared a lot, and so it just brought us closer together. So anyway, it's called Seducing Celebrities.
So James was tweeting out the Instagram pictures from it.
Yes, from the dinner. From the dinner that you guys had. Yeah.
When you said it, I was like, wait, I know I saw pictures. Where did I see that? It was James Reynolds' Instagram.
Lisa and James Reynolds.
So we will have Thaao sign the 2 books that he brought in, and look for those to be given away on our Facebook and Instagram. And if you would like to purchase the books, make sure you purchase them through Amazon.com or Barnes & Nobles. That's where two of the fans mentioned that they can get the books from. So make sure you support Thaao. Yeah. So, and unfortunately, we have now run out of time.
Oh, good. Even the hourglass. Look at that. The hourglass.
And that lonely pizza roll.
I tell you what, why don't we do phase 2?
Go through it. Let's quickly go through news and gossip before we head out.
AfterBuzz TV.
Should have warned you.
All right, so some quick news and gossip. First, if you guys want to meet your favorite stars of Days of Our Lives in Atlanta, Georgia, this March 19th through 20th, through Starstruck Fan Events, they feature an event that will happen in March. You can meet Christopher Sean, Brian DiTillo, Guy Wilson, Eric Martsolf, just to name a few. If you want more details on how you can purchase tickets for this event, make sure you go to starstruckfanevents.com. Also, a few months ago, we let you guys know that Eric Martsolf and Holly Norman were doing a single together called Days Go By, and we have a little snippet of the song that they just released. You can purchase the song on iTunes and Amazon, and let's take a quick little listen.
You gotta go and find your way, I said with tears in my eyes.
It's Eric Martsolf and Holly Norman.
Staying here won't make you happy.
All right, so if you guys want to support Eric and Holly and purchase their new single Days Go By, make sure you go to iTunes and Amazon to purchase their new single. Also, we want to give a big congratulations to all of the folks at Days of Our Lives who have a pre-Emmy nomination. So congratulations.
Toying with them.
Yes. So congratulations to the cast on your pre-Emmy nominations. We will announce the official nominations will be announced in March. And that has been your news and gossip. And that has been our show.
He's done.
We did.
Thank you for joining us.
Listen, you guys are fun. I didn't know what to expect.
No one ever does.
I will next time.
You say next time. You said next time.
You said next time.
He'll be back.
So
you'll be back.
We're going to hold you to that.
I've enjoyed this because, you all have great personalities. Some of you speak longer than others.
He looked at me when he said it. He looked at me when he said it.
I didn't.
It's always been my problem.
Yes.
For 2 seconds,
It's always been the one thing that's I get a good report card, and then on the back it would say, Mark likes to talk a little too much. He does good with his studies, but he likes to talk to his neighbors. So.
Well, before we head out, let everyone know where they can find you on social media. Mark?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Lorraine Love, LORAYNELOVE, and on Facebook / the Mark J. Freeman.
And Thaao, you're on Twitter as well, right?
Thaao, yes. You are on Twitter.
Yes, I'm on Twitter and I'm also on Facebook. But, you know, when I was on Days the last time, I wasn't on then.
Yeah.
So I came on after.
Yeah.
I came on afterwards. But, yeah, you know what I like about it? I like Facebook because I can tell the stories of journeys.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so it shares people in what they're interested in, or people who can't travel, so therefore you can allow them in to what you experience. And I love the sickness of Twitter because you have to find some wit in it.
Yes.
And to those people out there who think that knocking down actors or knocking down the show are really unnecessary because they work very hard, everyone in the crews. We're talking about, you know, hundreds of people who work on a daily basis, and we shoot 8 shows a week. Not everything's going to be satisfactory.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not going to have every storyline perfect. Some actors want to go, like Kate Mansi wanted to go, and people got upset, and well, she wanted to go. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
So, you know, just have some patience. I want to thank also the people who do experience as well and wants and embraces all of us and wants the best for us.
Right.
Because let's face it, you know, we give you a life and you give us a life.
Yeah.
And it's in the way we come together. So better think next time when you want to knock something down and try to give a little more love than the easier way to criticize, because that doesn't elevate anybody.
Right.
Very true.
So thank you. I enjoyed it today.
Yay!
I feel
thank
almost
you.
intelligent.
Well, compared to me, I mean, come on.
And James, before we head out,
GH Report, stay tuned for me.
yeah, make sure you stay tuned to the GH Report. You guys can find us every Sunday right here at AfterBuzz TV for another round of Dishin Days. We will see you next Sunday.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.